We're going down into quite a damp meadow area here, so we're going to see some different plants today. So let's have a look at this one here. This is Comfrey, and it's just coming to flower. It has these sort of hairy, coarse leaves. This is a plant which is supposedly edible, and I have eaten it in the past. The leaves are actually quite nice, battered and fried. But I understand actually there might be reasons why you wouldn't want to eat this. Actually, that apparently it's mildly toxic. So perhaps we'll leave that one alone now. It does make a very good garden fertilizer. It composts very well and apparently contains a lot of good plant nutrients. So it's quite good for the garden. The other thing about Comfrey is the flowers are often any colour between white and dark purple. It's very nice to see that even early in the morning we've got a bee out and about enjoying the flowers. Down here we've got horsetails, completely wet with the dew. Actually, that's interesting. Look how the dew has collected on these plants. It hasn't rained overnight, but these plants are dripping wet with dew. And of course they've collected the dew, and the dew will fall down and water the plants. So that may even be part of the survival strategy of these plants, is that they condense their own water out of the air. So we've got large areas of these horsetail plants. They're very tough, wiry plants, and they are ancient as well. Horsetails are virtually unchanged for millions of years, and these are the things that dinosaurs would have been eating. This bushy plant here, this is the plant I mentioned in my bluebell video. This is Hemlock Water Dropwort, so it's obviously damp enough here for this thing to grow, because it really is a marginal water plant, really. But this is growing here in just damp soil, and this is an extremely poisonous plant. Kill you in a couple of hours, that one. Now, of course, being a damp meadow area, we've got a lot of buttercups, and there are a couple of different species of buttercups here, I think. I'm not very good on identifying the individual ones, but we've got quite a lot of buttercups. In fact, I can see an area up ahead there. You can see it too. Look at the buttercups in that area up ahead there. We'll have a closer look when we get there. So yeah, here we've got a large area dominated by buttercup flowers right at this moment. Of course, later in the year something else will spring up. Now we've got an interesting thing here, because I think we don't generally think of grass as having colourful flowers. But here's a species of grass, and I'm afraid I don't know how to identify it, so I might look it up, but if not, you might have to help me out with this. But here's a grass that's flowering right now, and it's got purplish pink flowers. So there we go, grass with pink or purple flowers. Like I say, we don't generally think of grass as being a colourful thing in flower, but it is a flowering plant, and those are the flowers. And down here we've got an area that's a little bit lower lying, and so sedges and rushes have dominated here. But in the middle of it all, let's see if I can get close up to one without getting my feet wet. This little plant here, very pretty little flowers, sort of pale lilac white flowers. This is called Cuckoo Flower, and it's a relative of watercress, and it's an edible plant. It's just coming to an end now, actually. There aren't very many. There's a few of them dotted around, but generally pretty much finished now. And this is an edible plant. The whole thing's edible. You can eat the flowers, the stem, the little leaves down there if you can find them. Tastes a bit like radish or watercress, sort of peppery, radishy flavour. Quite nice. I'm not going to pick some today. It's just nice to see it. Come on, Eva. Down here, that looks like just a pile of soil, but this is actually a little molehill. So somewhere underneath here there's a network of tunnels, and a mole, or a family of moles, is living down here. Now every now and again you come across a place like this where the grass has been trampled down, and you might not be able to see it as well as I can here, but we see this in this long grass here quite frequently, and I believe this is where a deer has slept for the night. Deer have been going through here, trampled it down, and they've made a little bed for themselves and spent the night there. I don't know how well you can see that on the video, but the grass is trampled down into a little nest there. Now this is interesting down here. This little plant here with all the white flowers, I've never actually seen so much of it in one place before now. But this plant here is called Pignut or Earthnut, and underneath every single one of these plants is a little tuberous root. Looks like a tiny potato, but actually tastes like carrot and quite edible. And like I say, I've never seen quite so many of them growing in one place before now. But there we go, that's pignuts or earthnuts. Let's see what else we can find in here. In here with the red flowers just coming out here. This is sorrel, and these leaves here are quite edible. They have a sort of lemony flavour to them. I'm going to taste one. Quite mildly acidic, lemony sort of flavour. Quite pleasant in salads and quite edible. And let's see what else we've got down here, because I'm seeing a lot of these little blue flowers. Let's get close up and see what they are. And they are, looks like it's a species of Speedwell, I think. I believe that's a Speedwell. Very pretty. So I think that's probably about it for this morning's little wander. So I thought it might be interesting just to visit the same place at the other end of the day. So it's now the evening. The sun's got about another hour or two before it dips down below the horizon. And we're going to have a look at the same field and see what's different from what it was this morning. So, Comfrey hasn't changed much. The bees are still busy with the comfrey flowers. It's good to see. The horsetails are looking a little bit less droopy and a little bit more springy. And these wiry plants, yeah, they're definitely a lot less floppy than they were this morning. I imagine that's probably because they filled themselves up with the water that they condensed on their own leaves. The Hemlock Water Dropwort, well, hasn't changed much. It's just about to start flowering, I see. Still sitting there looking innocently deadly. The buttercups look like they're closing up for the night. All those little purple inflorescences we saw this morning on this grass have withered away during the day. So that's a thing I guess you've got to get up early to actually see. I believe there may be one or two more molehills than there were this morning. I'm fairly sure that's the one we looked at this morning. I'm fairly sure that one wasn't there at all. The soil does look very fresh in that molehill. I guess if the deer were thinking about settling down here for the night, I reckon one of the two of us has probably scared them off. Cuckoo flower here. Flowers are nicely open now, but we won't see very many more days of these flowering. As you can see, they're mostly seed pods now, and the flowers remaining are right at the top of the stalk. Well, the Speedwell flowers have really opened up nicely, but come the morning these petals will all drop off and a fresh crop of flowers will open. Pignuts, no change. These flowers will stay open for several days. As you can see, I don't know if you've ever grown carrots, but these are very similar plant to carrots, and they are of course closely related. Perhaps sometime soon I'll do a wild food video and we'll dig up a couple of these. I'll show you what they look like. So here's a few things I didn't notice the first time around. This here is a very young blackthorn plant. So these are blackthorn or sloes. in a couple of years' time these will be large bushes and we'll be able to come down here and pick some sloes. And down here we've got red clover. It's a very common plant, but it's quite unusual to see it flowering quite this early in the spring. Over here, this is Ribwort Plantain. In one of my other videos I'll show you how I used to play with this as a child. You can shoot it like a bullet. So thanks for joining me at both ends of the day in this damp but very lush and verdant water meadow. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you again soon.